Live from EverMedia Studios in Los Angeles, this is EverTalk Live.
How do you wake up and stay woke? What's your morning routine?
Just copious amounts of coffee.
I drink a lot of orange juice and I listen to a lot of Lizzo.
Do you have a favorite Lizzo track right now?
Her whole album.
10 to 12 minutes of meditation and then a cup of cappuccino.
Put my hand on my heart and I say, how am I feeling today?
I force my 130-pound dog to snuggle with me a little bit, but he doesn't typically like it.
The first thing I do in the morning is take a cold shower because research has shown that it burns fat, reduces inflammation, and fights depression. Actually, the research had me, it burns fat. In fact, I'm thinking of giving up working out altogether.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Destiny Malibu, and we are live in EverMedia Studios on EverTalk TV. Woo! Woo!
Good morning and happy Thursday. I'm Rob Mack.
And I'm Jessica Moyer. This is EverTalk Live, coming to you Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. live on Apple TV and Roku via the EverTalk app, and of course, streaming on all things social. Happy Thursday, Rob.
Happy Thursday.
Thorough Thursday.
Thorough Thursday. It doesn't feel like a thorough Thursday. I feel like I've got a lot going on today. How about you?
Well,
Gosh.
it all started with a full moon last night. Is it coincidence or special significance? At 12:12 on December 12th, that's 12/12,
Yeah.
it was a full moon, the last full moon of the decade. So a lot of the moon believers and followers are all
Yeah.
saying that this was some sort of special portal, whatever it is, the coincidence
Right.
is for real.
Well, 12 is supposed to be a special number, right? It's like closure or something like that?
Oh, absolutely. So I went ahead and manifested for myself. And today is the day on 12/12 to manifest love, freedom, and abundance, according to Moon Omens. So
Love
take
that.
for whatever it's worth.
I'm open to receiving all that stuff.
Oh,
That sounds good.
absolutely.
Yes.
That's right. Well, we're very excited to welcome our very special guest. Good morning
Good
and
morning.
happy Thursday.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Wow. Oh, we're so excited to have James Swigert in the house. If you say so, James. Good morning.
Good morning.
So here on EverTalk, we like to know, how do you wake up and stay woke? What's your morning routine like?
My morning routine starts with kissing my beautiful fiance, first of all, Elizabeth, so I have to go there. But it starts with prayer and meditation, and then followed by a pretty strenuous hour-and-a-half workout, and then I get to my juice and coffee after that. But that's how my day starts.
I love it. I see how you're engaged and how you're staying engaged. Call it the fiance first. Yeah,
I'm no dummy.
yeah, exactly.
Hashtag priorities. Destiny Malibu is back in the house. We're releasing her latest single, Silver Linings. Good morning, Destiny.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for being with us. So remind everyone, how do you wake up and stay woke? What's your routine like?
The first thing I do is snooze my alarm. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I basically just wake up and I take a deep breath and I thank God for another day of life, and I try to pump myself up so I can make the most of the day, and I just basically take it from there.
Fantastic. It's working for you. You're always shining. I love your Instagram stories.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Well, thanks so much for being with us. We have got the founder of the the Imperfectly Perfect campaign.
Yes.
Here we go. Glenn's with us. Good morning, Glenn.
Good morning, guys.
See, I'm going to go ahead and embrace my imperfection right there.
There you go.
Exactly.
Let's celebrate that. So tell us, how do you wake up and stay woke? What's your morning routine like?
Yeah, so a little bit like yourself, I wake up and I kiss my beautiful wife, and then at 4 a.m. in the morning, I go to the gym, come back and have a nice cold shower, do a gratitude journal, thankful for what I am that day and what I'm going to be doing, and then that's my day started.
4 a.m., Glenn. We are cut from the
4
same
a.m.
cloth, brother.
6 days a week.
There you go. That's what I like to hear.
I'll leave that for you guys, gentlemen.
Someone's got to do it.
Wow,
Doesn't narrow it down.
somebody's got to do it. Zach Tupperman is in the house. He's the president of ZTPR, hailing all the way from Canada, and the author of Cut the Beep Beep.
Love it.
That's right, how to market yourself. Good morning, Zach.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Oh,
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Thanks for being with us here in Los Angeles today. So tell us, how do you wake up and stay woke? What's your morning routine like?
I wake up in the morning by opening my eyes, closing them again, opening them once more.
Yeah.
I would kiss my wife, but she's already changing diapers with the baby, so I just stay in bed and pretend I don't hear anything so that I don't have to change a diaper.
Keeping it real. We appreciate that. There it is.
Very much 100. Well, thank you all so much for being with us. We look forward to continuing the conversation later in the show.
You know, I will say one thing. I do love what he said there, because it is such a gift every day to wake up and be able to see. Like, and oftentimes we take all of our senses for granted, right? Like sight and speech and all these things. I mean, sound, it's just incredible. So appreciative for that reminder there.
Absolutely. I have always wondered what it's like. I don't remember waking up and seeing clearly. Maybe many of you can relate to this. I've worn contacts since I was in 4th grade, and my mother said, you can't ski blind. I was skiing right into people and off the side of the cliff. I said, okay, fine. So I put in my contacts and I never took them out. Well, now I would love to be able to wake up and see. It's a big thing. So if any of you have had that, you know, what is that, eye surgery?
Yes, the LASIK?
LASIK.
I've had LASIK.
Yes.
I had it.
Wait, what?
I know.
Really?
Yeah, years ago, like 10 years ago, maybe longer.
No wonder
It's still,
you wake up and see.
It's amazing. I will say that. Like, it's probably one of the best things I've ever been gifted. And I will also say around the sight thing, like, you're so right about that, Jez. Like, once I left my contacts in overnight, and that's apparently something you certainly
You woke up,
shouldn't
there
be
was a
doing.
miracle.
And I mean, I'm talking, my eyes were just swollen shut. and I had to go to the hospital about it. And the doctor actually said if I had waited like 4 or 5 more hours, I would have gone blind.
Oh my God.
I didn't realize. Yeah, it's a big
well,
deal.
I'm grateful you can see this morning,
Indeed.
Rob.
Don't sleep with your contacts in.
No. Oh, well, in the height of the full moon yesterday, in my very true Hollywood form, I'm on my way in my little Fiat to make my way to Hollywood for a big
What do you call your Fiat, by the way?
Pearl. Her name is Pearl. She's been a wing woman in my life for like 7 years. She's a character. We love Pearl. And the clutch gave out. I'm driving down the road, and oh my God, what do? So I pull over, and I, of course, was like having this full moment. And the tow truck comes, and I'm blocking traffic, and I'm crying on the sidewalk, and I hear, Jeslyn, is that you? I couldn't believe it.
Oh no.
One of the guests from the show came to my rescue. Lo and behold, on this full moon. So yes, thank you to the show. Special thanks to Angelique Fawcett, who just happened to be crossing past. It was divine fate on that full moon.
Man, talk about a small world. That's incredible.
Such a small world.
You know, a small little thing I have to highlight there. I love that you have a stick shift, Jez. That just speaks to how incredible of a woman you are. I mean, right?
Thank
Just to
you.
drive your
Drive
stick.
fast
I think
and
anybody
take
drives a stick.
chances.
Yes, exactly.
Part of the reason is my dad said I couldn't drive one, and I thought, I'm going to show him. Well, now the clutch gave out, just like he always said it would.
Yeah, well, we used to burn the clutches out, like accidentally. When you remember learning how to drive? Did you learn how to drive on a stick, or no?
No, I didn't learn how to drive that car till I bought that car.
Oh, wow.
That's how committed I was. I wanted that pearl color, and the only one west of the Mississippi was a 5-speed. I thought, all right. So I had a boyfriend at the time who was like, I'll show you. And I was like, okay. 4 hours later, we were still trying to make it home. But I learned, and I love that little car. And thank you, AAA, for coming to my rescue, and Angelique Fawcett.
Fantastic, man. I can smell the a burnt clutch right now as I think about it. We used to burn those out. I mean, when you try to learn on a clutch, it's nearly impossible. It's already hard enough just to get everything else right.
No, it is true. But I've had that little car for 7 years, so
beautiful.
My heart. So it was nice to come into a surprise today from Studio Movie Grill.
Love the
Special
swag.
thanks, I know, to our friends over there in Glendale for this incredible opportunity. We're going to eat, we are going to drink, and we are going to be merry and watch a movie.
Yeah.
They've got these leather reclining seats. They serve the food right to your table.
It basically removed all of your excuses for going to the movies, right? You get everything. Great dinner, great movie, great entertainment, you're relaxed.
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah, love that. Fantastic. So we got a little something from Studio Grill. What else do we got here? And we have, of course, the book that the guest yesterday
from
left, Camilla.
yesterday. Yes, it's not me, it's you. Thanks for the reminder, Camilla. Or no, thanks. Just kidding. Yes, it'll be a good reading over the holiday. We appreciate you. We had a great show yesterday. We have a great show today.
We do indeed, yeah. Sort of brings us to the topic of the day. You know, I think a lot in my life of how many sort of days and moments I've spent stressed out and anxious. And I think around the holidays, people get especially stressed out and anxious, whether it's because of difficult people or financial issues or whatnot. And so part of the thing I've sort of discovered over the years is sort of like how to relax on the inside while you do what you need to do on the outside. And I call that not fighting but floating, right? Like not fighting but flowing. And so part of the challenge and the opportunity, I think, for lots of us is to find a way to relax and rest into whatever the experience is that you're having in the moment instead of fighting it and resisting it. Because I think most of stress really is just resistance.
Well, it's especially hard in the full moon when your clutch gives out and you're like, float.
That's true. You probably had the heels on in the whole 9, right?
Oh, the whole thing.
I love that.
The whole thing.
Fantastic.
It was a wreck.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
But that is a really good point. And to really embrace our imperfections and to celebrate them, just like Glenn, our next guest, has done so well.
Indeed. Looking forward to that interview.
Absolutely. So stay tuned. We'll be back with more on EverTalk Live and the imperfectly watches stories of people changing the world. EverTalk TV, the Netflix of talk.
All I can say to you guys is remember you are not alone. It's that simple. Just keep remembering you are not alone.
We look good. No, you look good. All of us.
We are so hot and humble. You know me, I gotta follow the light.
Yeah, girl. It's all about that light.
I saw that light over there. I said, this must be my light.
Wait, every time you laugh, you snort.
Our producer's messing up the set. Security.
Thank you. That was awesome. I was like, are we going into infomercial already? Where's the 1-800 number? I don't know how we need to have these bloopers. Well, there you have it. Yes. You guys can binge watch all of our episodes on upgradeyourlifetv.com and on the EverTalk app. Bye, guys. Bye.
EverTalk is hashtag community powered, so we are excited to offer you a free 30-day subscription to explore the talk shows that will bring you timeless entertainment and evergreen conversations that will inspire, uplift, and empower you anytime, anywhere at EverTalk TV.
Good morning, guys. Glenn, I hope you're having a blast in studio. Rob, good morning. I love your Instagram stories. Dr. Aaron, Jeslyn, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me on. Jeremy Jackson here with a tube in my lung, collapsed lung, blah, blah, long story, scuba diving accident, and I'm in the hospital under this procedure. I couldn't be there today. They were operating on me, sticking this in my chest, and all I was worried about was not being able to be there with you guys right now. I'm so bummed because this is my opportunity to help people break the stigma, to know it's not taboo. It's okay now to admit your weaknesses so that we can become stronger. You know, Glenn's heard me say it a million times, we're only as sick as our secrets. Once that toxins are out, once that self-limiting thought is out there and it doesn't have power anymore, it's over and it's done, and we can band together. We can join hand to hand, arm in arm, and we can trudge the road together, stronger in numbers. I love you. Imperfectly perfect.
Oh, love that video.
Oh, absolutely. Our love and light for a quick recovery and full healing to Jeremy Jackson. Thank you so much for that support and that video. And thank you, Glenn, for being with us this morning.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
You know, this Imperfectly Perfect campaign is so incredibly powerful. And it's
Thank you.
reaching beyond Hollywood, but of course has the backing of some very prominent figures like Jeremy.
Yeah. So it's really gone. The premise behind it started in Australia, obviously, and I just wanted to basically break down the barriers through social media, because everyone's attention's to social media, and I unfortunately lost a friend back in the UK to suicide, and what he was posting on his social medias were highlight reels, which we tend to see. Now, there's no behind the scenes, but what he was portraying was a life well lived, cars, career, everything like that, and unfortunately he took his life. And what really, really tapped into me was that I've got a little boy, and he left behind his little boy. So to me, I just couldn't fathom thinking that he must have been in such a dark place to think his little boy would be better off without him. And within the space of 3 months, I lost a colleague of mine to suicide as well. And then a female friend back from the UK, she took her life. And the more prevalent I was talking to people about it, I was just like, something just needs to be done, because there's such a disparity between what's out there already. There's amazing advocacy out there towards mental health and awareness, but there's something that's not connecting, because the suicide rates are still going up. And what I wanted to do was basically unite us all worldwide. So I started reaching out to clinical psychologists, psychiatrists and doctors, not just in Australia, but the UK and the US, and just got them to start submitting videos in about what the epidemic of suicide was like in their country. And then just thought, why don't I keep going? And ultimately we we see celebrities and we see CEOs, the people at the top of their game, ultimately as like they've got the life or they must have the life, but everyone has a story. So I wanted to disrupt social media in a sense and share everyone's stories that we look up to or maybe aspire to, especially our kids, and go, hold on a minute, I've been through this. And yeah, within the space of 3 months, it featured all over the press in the UK and Australia. 6 months, came to the US, and now I'm back. And more prominent figures, as you say, there's Jeremy Jackson, Eden Sassoon, Justin Guarani, Ellen DeGeneres started following it on Twitter. So it's just, I just think it's very timely. So yeah.
Just fantastic. I mean, I'm just so inspired by the mission and by the message and by all the folks that have gotten on board. Did that overwhelm you to get that kind of response?
It did. I mean, the more overwhelming messages I was getting from the public, a lot of people like to start sharing their stories with you. And of course, I couldn't direct everyone's attention and listen to everybody's story. So fortunately, I started reaching out to the clinical psychologists and redirecting. So all the way through the campaign, the messaging is your support and where to direct your attention to if you need to speak to somebody. But I think it was more overwhelming in a sense for the public figures on board because they didn't actually realize that their platform could be used in this sense. So a couple of people, Marnie Kennedy, she's a really big celebrity actress in Australia, and when she posted hers, she used to be a child star and grew up, 40,000 views within a few moments and 3,000 comments. Just people just going, I've just resonated with your story.
Well, it's interesting though, because you, Glenn, in capturing and using your magic to tell a story as a photographer, as an artist, you've made it almost a safe place to do that because people are openly having a conversation, but they don't want to openly accept or commit to that title, if you will, or owning having any sort of mental illness, if you will. But with you, that just speaks so highly of you. That these figures, these celebrities are trusting you to tell that story.
That's hearing it like that, it does give you shivers and think, well, they must feel in a safe zone with me and just be vulnerable and But we have turned it away from a little bit where some people have said, oh, there's quite a lot of celebrities on there. But what I want to reiterate is if you do look through the campaign, there's a plethora of industries. So there is people in infrastructure, CEOs. When somebody sees a celebrity and they go, what do celebrities know? They've got the ultimate life. Well, that's what is also breaking. So there's 3 concepts to the campaign. There's visual medium. So when we listen to a piece of music, whatever it can take us back to a place, either a happy place. When we watch a film, we connect with it. And when we see a stills image that just connects us, and the whole point of it was, whilst we're scrolling people's highlight reels through social media, Instagram especially, all picture-based, when you come across one of these of somebody that you know with a single tear in their eye, it disrupts social media. So one of my aims was to actually bring social media back to its intended purpose, which when it started was connection. And it has got squiffed a little along the way, as we've seen.
It's interesting though that you mentioned connection, because I think one of the greatest fears in, speaking publicly about having any sort of mental illness is the fear of abandonment, the fear of rejection. And really, in fact, the community comes out and supports tenfold.
It's amazing to see. I mean, another aspect I always say to people, I want to remove the judgment, because basically I always say, judgment is based on the back of hypocrisy. We've all done things in the past that we might not be proud of, but it's not in the public eye. So when we put these people like the epitome of fame or success, and like all your young stars, like Jeremy Jackson, he's been very open, like we're very good friends, and he's just removing the stigma towards judgment, because I believe if we, as humans, we're obviously conditioned to judge, whether good or bad, but if we can be more aware of when we're judging, because I always say, imagine your child in the living room, they soak everything up. So if you were talking to a friend and you're judging somebody and that little kid happens to be going through something, I always say, imagine that little kid going through something and thinking, I possibly can't say anything because they're judging somebody else. So it's just becoming more aware. And just staying 2 steps ahead. So I always say there's a lot of organizations and charities out there, and when it comes to fundraising and all that kind of thing, I'm trying to stay 2 steps ahead and going, where's our attention? So especially our kids, I've got 2 kids, and at the moment there's a platform called TikTok, and it's just blowing up with kids' attention. So I'm trying to now disrupt TikTok by showing the effects of suicide and the effects of, so
Have you faced any sort of challenges or hurdles along the way as you sort of begin to spread the message around mental health?
I have, in terms of old school mentality. So the stigma is still very much prevalent. So back at home, I was talking to a guy about coming to LA, and he was like, "Oh, what are you going for?" So I started talking about the campaign, and he was old school Greek, and he was like, "Oh, I'd never say anything." And I was like, "But why?" I was like, "Does it take somebody like a prolific figure like Chester Bennington or Robin Williams, who we think had everything, and then we suddenly open our eyes and go, like." So yeah, to kind of de-celebritize it as well, to bring everybody in, I started a challenge, which was basically to nominate somebody to say 3 things you do on a daily basis, like you did when you wake up, what you do for your well-being every day. And within 2 days, we got over 500 video submissions, and we've got people from India, England. So yeah.
What were the common denominators of people?
It was basically what they all do was meditation, exercise, and gratitude. Just learning. The most successful people have gone from the top, and then they might have gone to the bottom, and then turned their life around, finding God or just putting good thoughts out there, and yeah.
Yeah. Is that what has worked most effectively for you personally?
It has, yeah. So I watched a viral video on YouTube, and I get my son, and my daughter's only just turning 2, but I get my son every day to stand in front of the mirror and say what he's grateful for.
Yeah.
So I started doing that, and at first he's like, "Dad, what are you doing?" but yeah, I watched. It was a viral video when this guy did it with his daughter, and I just thought, just set the mindset early on, so he knows what he can be thankful for. And
just love that. I think it was Carl Jung who said, his job as a psychologist was to reparent adults at an age in which reparenting was impossible, right? So the value of sort of doing that young and setting the tone and precedent when you're young, so you don't have to, deal with this stuff later, is so fantastic, and I so appreciate you doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thank you.
Please tell everyone where they can find and follow, and of course contribute to the campaign.
Yeah, so you can find us at Instagram through @imperfectlyperfectcampaign or imperfectlyperfectcampaign.org.
Oh, fantastic.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you, and I would love
Thank
to, Jeremy. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more on EverTalk Live. Welcome back to EverTalk Live. It's time to cut the BS. That's right. We've got best-selling author with us, Zach Tupperman. He's the president of Zach Tupperman PR and an expert in marketing yourself. Thanks for being with us this morning.
So.
Yeah.
Well, you're the one who claimed it, so I assume you've got this figured out. So tell us a little bit about the book.
Yeah, so I've been in PR for 10 plus years. A lot of different clients come to me, whether they own a business, they're a celebrity, an actress, musician, doctor, lawyer, whatever, and they all ask for different tips and stuff, and even friends call me up and they're like, "Hey, can you help me out with this and all that?" And I was kind of getting sick of all these phone calls and giving all this free advice and stuff, so I kind of was like, I'll put it into a book with some pictures, some poetry, and you could read it in under 10 minutes and hopefully learn a little bit of how to market yourself.
Well, it's an interesting time because it's not just celebrities, authors, entrepreneurs that are trying to market themselves. Anybody with an Instagram or social media is trying to master their brand and essentially market themselves.
Yeah, social media these days, back in the day, used to be, I want to get into that newspaper, that print thing, and now look at us. We're streaming, we're online, we're everywhere. So yeah, the book has it all. Fun pictures. If you can't read more than a sentence, then at least there's pictures for you.
I love it. So what are some of the tips and tricks and best practices that you share in the book?
Just showing up to events on time, knowing the news around you, what to do when you go to a red carpet event or a charity gala, how to take that no and turn it into a maybe, which then turns into a yes, the good old Jerry Weintraub.
So how do you do that? Because there are a lot of no's in this chat.
Yeah, it's a lot of persistence and, always, going back to them. If you go to a media outlet, if you're pitching yourself to somebody and they say no, find out what they want and then, go back to them in a couple weeks.
Someone very wise in my early years of Hollywood said, no, it doesn't mean no, it means not now.
Exactly. And, you can't take that no and, end your career. You got to keep going forward and, try to find that maybe, because once you get that maybe, you can turn it into a yes.
Love that. So at what point, though, do you stop sort of trying to kick open these doors that are actually walls?
Right.
And let that opportunity go and go chase something else?
That's up to everybody on their own. How much, what's it costing?
Yeah.
Am I moving to Hollywood? Do I want to become an actress here? And you move here and it's not happening for you after 30, 40, 50 years. Yeah. Maybe you'll want to find something else unless, you have a good piggy bank and you can keep going.
It's time to think outside the box.
Think outside the box. You don't need to just have a sex tape these days. You can.
That's good to know.
It really works for some.
Feel better already.
It didn't work for me, but nobody wanted to see it. You got to think outside the box. You can't just be like everybody else. You have to do something different. You have to stand out, and you got to figure out what that border is for you, and when you want to cross it.
Yeah. So a question. So I think a lot of people think that they know what sort of PR is, and what isn't PR? What are some of the myths people sort of expect or think PR is, but it's actually not?
People think that, as a publicist, I just show up to nice fancy events and I get to go and party and drink and have a good time.
Wine and dine all the time.
That is part of it.
Yeah.
It's all about, I think, if you have a publicist, you're investing in yourself. A publicist isn't free. It's not like a manager or an agent that's taking a cut of whatever you're making. A publicist is somebody that you're, investing into. So if you believe in your career, your product, whatever it is, you're investing into it. And that's our job to obviously get you exposure, get you out there and everything that comes along with that. So, I think a lot of people, they see the TV show Entourage or they watch something else and they're like, oh, so you can get me like a big booking in a Hollywood film. I'm like, no, I can take that booking and make everybody aware of it, but I'm not going to get you that booking.
Got to have something to work with.
Well, you might get them on that red carpet that meets the director.
Exactly.
Then gets the booking.
Well, exactly. If you're out there, even if you haven't had that breakthrough role yet, if you're going out to the proper events, if you're, you can still get media stories to talk about you. Say you've never done anything in your life, but you're into yoga. So let's go to a yoga magazine and talk about how, you love yoga and how being an aspiring actress, yoga once a week really helps you. Now, boom, that yoga magazine wants to do a story about you. And now you're out there. You don't have that role, but people are learning, more about you and that exposure's out there. And then somebody might see you and put you in that role.
Oh, fantastic.
What advice do you have to making sure you're keeping it 100, keeping it authentic so you really do?
Yeah, there's a lot of BS in this town and a lot of other towns. And I just, I'm a very straightforward person. I like to just cut the BS. And if somebody comes to me and they're like, Zach, I want to be on the cover of Rolling Stone next week, I'm going to tell them they're,
How much money you got?
But, I think a lot of people need a reality check. A lot of people are living in a fantasy world. It's, it's not their fault. It's just, what they see around them. They think they're going to move to Hollywood and the next day I'm going to be cast and I'm going to be the biggest actress in the world. Now, it happens to some people. But, I kind of cut the BS, get right to it, and tell them how it's going to be. And, whether they trust me or not, that's up to them.
Well, thank you, Zach. We appreciate you helping us cut the BS this morning. Please tell everyone where they can find and follow, and, of course, get the book.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, of course. We're all social. Zach Tepperman. Go to ztpr.net or ztpr if you're in Canada.net.
Awesome.
And, just go to Amazon. You can buy the book.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Zach. Stay tuned. We'll be back for more on EverTalk Live.
Stories of people changing the world. EverTalk TV, the Netflix of talk. EverTalk is hashtag community powered, so we are excited to offer you a free 30-day subscription to explore the talk shows that will bring you timeless entertainment and evergreen conversations that will inspire, uplift, and empower you anytime, anywhere at EverTalk TV.
Welcome back to EverTalk Live. We are so excited to have Destiny Malibu back with us today. And of course, we're talking hashtag silver lining.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
We love having you here.
Oh, I love being with you guys. You're so much fun.
Thank you. So, tell us all about your latest single.
Yes, so my latest single, Silver Lining, just came out recently, and it's a really special song to me. It really is just about focusing on your silver lining in life, and everybody has a different one, whether that's being a mom or a sister or being on a talk show or being an artist, and just encouraging people to focus on their personal silver lining through life, no matter what's going on, so that way they can make it through another day with that positive attitude.
So of course we've got to ask, when did
Yes.
you experience your first silver lining, and what is it now?
You know, my silver lining, I actually have a lot of them. I love my family. I'm surrounded by so much love, and I feel really thankful for that. My friends, and honestly, just getting to be an artist and create music and put energy out there is one of the most rewarding experiences in the world. I love doing concerts, and I do a lot of touring at high schools and colleges, and a lot of the kids will come up to me and be like, hey, this song helped me through a really hard time. Thank you so much for sharing your music. And it's those kind of comments that just fill me with more inspiration to keep going and keep doing this and know that I'm on the right path.
I just love that. Do you feel like you were born like a perennial optimist, or is it something you've had to learn?
You know, I think a lot of people only see my bubbly side, and in general, I do strive to be positive as much as I can. But of course, like, I'm human, I have my ups and downs, and I think in the past couple years, especially being in my 20s now, like when I go through something negative, I've kind of tried to train myself to realize that, you know, life is life and it happens, and the only thing you can do is figure out how you're gonna react. And I've just learned that if you're reacting negatively, there's only like so far down like the dark rabbit hole that you can go until it becomes dangerous.
Yes.
So
You said to write a song.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. Yes, so I really try to just like come out of that, because, you know, like I said, you can only be so negative until it's detrimental to you as a person. So I just try to really focus on the positive and encourage other people, so that way you don't always have, you know, a dark cloud around you.
So we've got to say, Destiny Malibu, that name says
Yes,
it all.
it is.
Destiny
Yeah,
Malibu, your
for sure.
Destiny is Malibu. Is that your artist name?
Yes, so my real name, my birth name is Destiny, and I was raised in Malibu, California. So originally I used to go by Destiny, and it was actually really hard to brand it because there's so many. I mean, there's Destiny video game, like if there's Destiny on Google and like a million things pop up. And so my team was like, hey, we got to put, you know, a second word to your artist name. And they were throwing ideas at me, like, and nothing felt right. And I was just hanging out with friends one day, and I was like, you know, Malibu has made me who I am. This is where I grew up. And I think it has a very summery, happy vibe, just the name. So I think that reflects me as an artist.
Oh, absolutely. If your Destiny is Malibu.
Yeah, good luck, right? Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you.
So what are you most looking forward to?
2020, I'm really excited for. My birthday is actually December 20th, so
What?
I
We
feel
have the
like
same birthday?
you have December 20th?
That's
Oh my
auspicious.
gosh,
That's
no
auspicious.
way.
Yeah.
Destiny.
Same birthday.
Wait,
I
that's
know.
crazy. I had no idea.
Yes.
That's amazing. Yeah, we're gonna have to have like a birthday party.
We have to. Exactly. Exactly. We can play your song.
Yes.
Never have a birthday party, but maybe for you.
Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, so 20 is a special number for me, so I'm so excited for the year 2020, and I have 2 albums coming out.
2,
yes, in 2020 that I've been kind of like working on and molding for literally like the last like year and a half, 2 years. And they're very different albums. One is like a pop, like fun, feel-good album. Then the other one is more of an inspirational, like organic instruments. And we even have like an orchestra in one of the songs. So totally opposite sounds for whatever your mood is that day.
But it's like both personalities in Malibu.
Yes.
Right?
Oh my gosh,
Boy,
exactly.
I love that.
That is so true, because Go ahead.
Is it, you're such a creative person, and of course you have so much energy. Is it hard to
Thank
stay
you.
motivated sometimes? I mean, 2 albums in 1 year, that's a pretty big deal. I think very few artists do that, or are able to do that. Do you find yourself struggling ever with motivation, or do you just sort of always sort of, you know, consistently motivated?
You know, I am really a big advocate for mental health, and that's definitely like one of my passions. One of the reasons I love going to the high schools and colleges. And I think that the motivation for me comes from like when I have that in-person interaction, you know, and I think it's so important nowadays because so many of us are on socials mostly, that when you get out there, especially for like the youth who don't engage the same way like even I did when I was in high school, because I think like Facebook was barely starting when I was in high school, and these kids are growing up, you know, with all of the socials, and I can't even imagine how the interaction has changed in real life. And I know that on my tours, like all the administration at every school that I've been to has told me that there's been suicide attempts. Some of the schools had some suicides, and I think that for me, what keeps me motivated is just wanting to go there and be a face that they can relate to and say like, hey, like, let's talk about this. You know, I think one of the best ways of prevention is just opening up to someone and just talking about what you're going through, because so many people are afraid that I've talked to kids who have said, oh, you know, I'm not going to tell anyone I suffer from depression because they're going to think I'm damaged or there's something wrong with me. But that's not true at all. And I think that the more that we open up and talk about how we all have struggles, like the more human we feel and more connected we feel, and then we can be there for each other. So just getting out there and trying to spread that message keeps me motivated.
I think that's a huge point. You really do it for the cause and not the applause, so to speak, right? And you're really a perfect candidate actually for Glenn's campaign. You're the perfect campaign, yeah.
Hashtag silver lining.
Right?
Well, Destiny, please tell everyone where they can find and follow, and of course get your music.
Yes, so you can find me on DestinyMalibu.com, and all of my socials are Destiny Malibu. And actually, if you watch the Silver Lining music video, I have there's like a collection of people saying their silver lining. So if anyone watching wants to go and comment their silver lining, that would mean so much. I love reading them.
That's awesome. What a great idea.
You are silver lining this week.
Oh, thank you so much. I've got some silver lines going on.
More at EverTalk Live. It's so perfectly. Welcome back to EverTalk Live on this hashtag Thought Thursday. We're having a very important, thorough conversation. Thorough Thursday. On mental health awareness. We've got the best-selling author, if you say so, James Sweigart's in the house. James, so tell us a little bit about this book and your journey to writing it.
Sure. No, thank you. You know, if you say so, and then the subtitle is My Story and How I've Changed It to Save My Life, right? Because we all have stories, and some of them are lies.
Yeah.
And so I found myself through what I went through as a kid with childhood trauma, abuse, molest, incest, and going into depression, alcoholism, drug addiction, and suicidal thoughts, and eventually a suicide attempt. I realized that once I asked for help at 25, that's when the help arrived. And I was able to realize that I was actually telling myself stories, looping them in my head, that I'm broken, I'm defective, I'm unlovable. And I was believing them. And, you know, we all, like I said, we all have stories, but some of them are just bullshit.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah, most of them.
And they're lies. And I found myself making adult decisions based on misinformation. And so I was inspired to tell my story.
Just find that so incredibly powerful. I think one of the greatest sort of first discoveries in my journey was beginning to tell a better feeling story based in truth. You know, and the truth is so much subjective, but it was a question of where I was focusing. So when you decided to sort of reframe or rework this story that you were telling yourself into one that was supportive and productive and happy, how did you do that and where'd you start?
The first thing I had to do was ask for help.
Yeah.
And I, you know, when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. And I had an incredible teacher named Bob Palmer who's since passed. And so the first thing I had to do was clean up my mess. And I had to get flat with the universe, which was really, you know, it's much more involved. It's easy to say, but there's a lot of work involved with that. And I use this train metaphor in my book. And so I talk about shoveling coal. And when I work with the young men and women that I mentor, and then I also professionally coach, I use this metaphor to describe that most of our work needs to be up in the locomotive shoveling coal, which is doing the hard work, right? Picking up the shovel and, you know, putting on your dungarees and getting covered in soot and sweat and bloody knuckles to keep that furnace, you know, which is our soul's desire. I use that as an analogy for our passion, right? And stay out of the baggage car.
Yeah.
Stay out of the bar car, which some of us spend a little too much time in the bar car. And some people just stand on the caboose looking backwards, right, about what coulda, shoulda, woulda been. And so it's really about getting up and shoveling coal and doing the work to make that journey from our head to our heart.
Yeah.
To really find out what our soul's desire is. And so I had some amazing men mentor me and teach me how to, that first of all, that I could change the story, right? That it's a choice. There's that great Abraham Lincoln quote that people are as happy as they make up their minds to be. And I think a lot of people who are stuck in, you know, in addiction, depression, they don't realize they have a choice. For me, I just thought I was a victim of circumstance, right? And that the wind, you know, of the universe would just blow me around. And not until I had, you know, Bob really just let me know that I could create my own weather today and that I could take control of my life. And so it had to start with how I was speaking about myself. So the power of the spoken word is really what my book is about. And it's Don Miguel Ruiz wrote The Four Agreements, great book, right? And the first of the four agreements is be impeccable with your word, right? And so it's really about speaking in the direction of truth and love and never speaking against yourself or others.
Now, when a person first starts that journey and they begin to speak in impeccable ways, in truthful and supportive, positive ways, you know, sometimes it doesn't feel all that comfortable because it's not all that familiar, so it can feel like they're being inauthentic. So what do you tell people that say, well, this doesn't feel like the truth to me, even though it's positive, it feels like I'm lying to myself in a way that I wasn't before. So what do you say to those people?
It's a great point. And it has to be authentic, right? And the great exercise that happened for me was a friend of mine called me because I was believing one of my stories. I was looping one of my old stories. And he had me sit down. I was on the phone with him and he had me sit down. He said, get out a piece of paper, get out a pen, write down every word that I say. Do not believe everything you think. And then he hung up on me. And so I had to sit there looking at what I wrote. Do not believe everything you think. And then a light came on because I realized that I was believing the stories that I was telling myself. You know, and there's so much stuff that actually we worry about that doesn't happen, right?
It doesn't even exist.
Of it, right.
Right? And so there's just as much of a chance of it turning out swimmingly, right? And so it really has to start with how I speak about myself because here we're in the holiday season, right? And people are, you know, you'll hear people say, I hate the holidays. I hate Christmas shopping. Christmas is so stressful. The holidays are, you know, and it's if you say so, right? Because the universe will give you whatever story you tell it. And you know those people that are the downers that are like, you know, their cell phone screen's always broken, the car doesn't work, they're late to work, and you know those people, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And they're like, we're never gonna make it, and they never make it.
Well, here's the other thing though, because I'm very much a positive. I believe in holiday magic and love. And my car still breaks down. Life still isn't perfect, even if you reframe, even if you say the most and believe the most positive. There's still like earthly
Life
human
is still gonna
beings. Life is still life. You still get stuck in your garage or broke down on the side of the road. But it's just the way you react to that.
Exactly. Because we're all victims of something in life, right? Things are going to happen. And it's how you respond to that. But when we remain a victim, that's a choice, right? I was a victim of a lot of horrible things that happened to me. And I chose to remain a victim. And when you live in blame and victimhood, you can never be happy, ever. And so it came to forgiveness of myself and forgiveness of others, like the man that molested me. The Me Too movement's amazing. I'm kind of pitching this Men Too, hashtag Men Too. When I was molested, this man that molested me, like, to forgive him, I swore I would never forgive him. And I have no problem coming clean about all the things that happened to me, and I was going to go to my grave never forgiving him. And then when someone, again, Bob, amazing teacher, said to me, forgiveness is not about letting someone else off the hook, it's about letting yourself off the hook.
Oh,
And that was powerful. And that's when I realized, wow, I don't need to live in that victimhood and that blame, because that's, I just carry that shame with me and it doesn't benefit me. I did the research to go after him, and I found out that he passed away in 2009, so it probably saved me some headache there. But I had to come to terms with it, and I had to get flat with the universe and flat with that situation, and that's how I did it. I ultimately had to let it go.
Wow, it's just so powerful, and I completely agree with you. I just love what you're saying there. And to that point, and to Jess's point, I think we can increase or tell better feeling stories based in truth about our lives, and we begin to feel different on the inside right away, right? And then that often is reflected on the outside too. And so what ways has your life actually changed on the outside as it's also changed on the inside?
I've been blessed with an amazing life. I've been clean and sober for 30 years, and I've had an amazing career in Hollywood. And that's why I wrote the book, is now I really want to help people and give back. I do a one-for-one program. So for every paid speaking engagement, I do an unpaid to an inner city underfunded program or nonprofit organizations or inner city schools to help out. And just to come in and show them that they can actually change their story immediately. Like I actually had this, I spoke in Manila in the Philippines in January, and I had 4,000 young creative professionals in the room, and I had them all just literally close their eyes, think about something they were grateful for, and then I had them open their eyes, stand up, and say, "I am so grateful," and I had them yell it with me. I said, "Repeat after me," and they did it. And I said, all of the audio guy's gonna hate me, but I went, "I am so grateful!" And all of a sudden, when you have 4,000 people yell that, you felt the energy change in the room. And I said, "Do you feel the energy change inside you?" And then I said, how many people didn't do it because they thought they'd feel stupid? And about 25 hands raised. And again, an old story, right?
And you make a great point there too. It's kind of where the rubber hits the road, is the emotion piece of it, right? Because you really want to dive deep into feeling what you're saying and not just saying it.
Exactly.
I love that you
If
highlight
you
that.
say so.
If you say so. There it is.
Please tell everyone where they can find and follow your journey, and of course get your book.
Sure, jamesswigert.com. You can find everything there. You can find access to the book and all the social media as well. So, and for speaking and coaching. But thank you for having me.
Our pleasure.
Stay tuned. We'll be back tomorrow on EverTalk Live.
You watch the stories of people changing the world. EverTalk TV, the Netflix of talk.
Welcome to the show. Today we have Life Master Tony Lanny. Today we have a very special guest, Alon Torres. Today we have a very special guest, Mark Harari, on the show, and he is, you have really inspired me, because you walk the walk, you talk the talk.
It's never too late, no matter what your age. Doesn't matter if you're young, it doesn't matter if you're older.
Over the last 10 plus years, 12 years, it's been this journey where, as I was continuing to help others, I was helping myself. As I went deeper, I was able to bring people deeper.
But you've got to put it aside. You've got to put it aside.
Right, that's one of his tips, is leave the at the door.
Drop it at the door.
But we can't give you too many more little tips, because we're going to give away the whole thing. But there is a video if you click below.
I'm Life Master Tony Lanny.
Yay! See how easy that was?
EverTalk is hashtag community powered, so we are excited to offer you a free 30-day subscription to explore the talk shows that will bring you timeless entertainment and evergreen conversations that will inspire, uplift, and empower you anytime, anywhere at EverTalk TV.
Welcome back to EverTalk Live. I am so excited to have the shining star with us today. Molly Gray is in the house, of course, recently starring in Reliant, and of course, launching an incredibly cool YouTube channel.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
So first, tell us a little bit about your role in the movie.
Yeah, so The Reliant, it's a faith-based film that kind of just battles like the dollar crashing and gun violence and faith. And my character, her name is Sophie, she kind of leads the film. And she's actually just very passionate about her faith, especially what, like, her brother is, like, doesn't believe. There's so much that, like, I don't want to give too much away. There's so much tragic stuff that has happened within the family, death and accidental death with guns, and it's just a pretty intense story plot where you would think God isn't good. And it's her responsibility to kind of prove that to her family. She takes her siblings away, is surviving in the woods by herself with like 4 of her younger siblings. So it's an action film, which is really cool. I got to do weapon training and all that, which was really cool.
Yeah.
I got tackled by Brian Bosworth, which was really
that's
cool.
all
Yeah.
another thing, yeah.
My dad was like, "That's so cool." So yeah, it was actually kind of like the biggest thing I've done so far is. As far as like a character that's so in depth and like so much training, and we filmed in Ohio, and it was just kind of over like just an amazing project.
I think it's interesting though, it being a faith-based film.
Yeah.
You had a really crazy career here in Hollywood. How
Yeah.
giggles, and
Yeah.
What role has faith played in your career?
So I actually grew up in Utah. So I grew up in Mormonville, basically.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've always just kind of been a type of person that, because I travel so much, especially on the weekends, I'm working all the time, I don't have time to necessarily go inside of a church every single week. And I've always been the kind of person that faith kind of is just in me, and I feel like I'm the type of person that whatever I choose to believe in and whatever I pray to at night, or my higher power, or whatever that is, whether that is a person or that is some sort of, you know, manifestation, whatever, I just feel like that's within myself, and that's how I kind of get through. You know, and everyone's different, and I think it was really special playing this part in The Reliant because they were very, very religious based, and it was kind of cool to be able to learn about so many different backgrounds and how to speak to different people with opposing opinions and stuff. So it was just kind of like a big monumental moment for me as a person and my character, and like, which I thought was really special. And you know, yeah. So it's been cool to kind of navigate different faith with different people and co-stars and myself and stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you feel like your faith has been tested or challenged in your personal journey?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, you know, it was more of, I got a lot of judgment from people who were very religious based on my relationship with my husband, especially like, you know, he's transgender, and we started off as a female couple, and then after we got married, he came out to me, and there's been a lot of people saying like, you're not religious, or how dare you, like you're a sinner, that I'm like, well, aren't we all? You know what I mean? So it's more of, yes, and so it's more of, I've never second guessed myself. I've never felt down on myself because I've always been faithful and I've always been true to what I believe in. But there are people, especially social media, with that being so big nowadays, that just kind of attack, and especially attack my husband, Jekka, and it's frustrating. And it's hard to, kind of what I was talking about earlier, is like trying to navigate conversation with somebody who won't open their mind. Or tell you the way that you're supposed to think.
So interesting to me too, because you know I've spent a lot of time just studying religions and spiritual traditions from all over the world, and I would say that the very heart of all religion and spirituality is love and faith.
Totally, yeah.
And it's, you know, so it's ironic to me.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, totally.
I love that you embody both, right? The love and the faith.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
So what's next for you, Molly?
Oh man, well, the holidays. I'm so excited. Just like work so much that holidays is kind of my favorite time of year. I have a bunch of younger siblings. I have 3 younger siblings that live here, and you know, we do the Santa, wake up in the morning, they wake us up at 6 a.m., Santa came! So that's just what I get really excited for. I love the new year. I'm totally that like basic girl that's like, new year, new me. Like, let me set my goals for this year.
So what are some of your goals?
Yeah.
Could you share them with us?
Totally. So obviously health is always going to be like number one, making sure I keep my health 100. But I'm just setting really specific career goals. I really would love to book a series regular, whether that's a pilot on a network or that's a Hulu series or a Netflix series. I really just, I want something monumental with my acting career that's gonna really set me on the map. And then, of course, just like starting the process of buying a home and getting settled. Yeah, adulting. Yes, I know. Yeah, yeah. I feel like there's like always like, oh man, adulting, and I do this when I think about it. But then I'm like, oh my gosh, I am an adult, and I'm proud that I'm an adult living out here in Hollywood and still surviving.
God bless you. I'm still a child.
Yeah.
I'm still a child, I tell you.
Do you have any advice for your younger self or for maybe your younger fans that are
Yeah.
looking to have a career like you?
Totally. I actually, that's so interesting. I just did this little campaign for a dance magazine, and you had to write a letter to your younger self. And I'm the biggest crybaby ever, but I was like writing it and I cried. And I told myself, and I think this can kind of translate to any teenager out there, is trust your parents. You know what I mean? Because I was always, my mom, I was like, I want to go out and I want to hang out and I want a later curfew. And I never saw the sacrifices she was making to allow me to have the career that I have today. And obviously being older now, and she's still doing that with my youngest sister, I just wish I can go back and tell my mom every day how grateful I was, you know, rather than like being like, oh, I wish I could go out. Let me stay at prom till 1 a.m. You know what I mean? Stuff like that doesn't matter when you're out here and you're living your career and your dreams because of something that she was able to sacrifice. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That purpose and passion supersedes the pleasure we would have gotten in the moment.
Yeah.
Love that.
Oh, absolutely. Molly, please tell everyone where they can find follow your journey. And of course, check out your awesome YouTube channel.
Yes, of course. You can find me on social media, Malls Gray with 2 Y's. And then, our YouTube channel is YouTube, Jecca Molly.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we are EverTalk Live coming to you Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Be sure to check all the full rewinds and replays on EverTalk TV on Apple TV and Roku.
That's right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a great day on purpose.
That's right. Happy Thursday.
Thursday. Thursday. Get to the neighborhood.